Yeah, and one thing also that people were surprised about first was us working fully remote, and I was still
Yeah.
sometimes surprised about it. So, do you think that we'll ever go back to the office?
I don't want to get back to the office because of what you said before. I believe that the company and the fact that you own and run it, this should be a good company for you personally. Only then you are happy in the company. So I love the concept of working from my home where I am now. I feel very good. I understand, really understand all the things that are wrong, that needs to be taken care of. But I feel so much better working from home and having this kind of communication we are having in the company than going to the office and having the office life. And how is it for you?
Every time I miss having an office, it's not because of working in an office.
Mm,
So I remember when we had our offline team meeting, and after all, people said, "Oh, it would be cool to have an office," but it was also because we just like could meet together more often because of that. But I was awful at working at the office. Like I have very hard time getting focused. I am sometimes holding myself hostage, so making my desk to be a standing desk because it's
mm,
uncomfortable to stand in front of the desk, so it is uncomfortable to procrastinate, so it's easier to start working, etc. And sometimes I get great focus, and when I'm focused I do amazing job. But in an office, when people were approaching you, talking to you, there was always some fun conversation to be in. I was used to getting my work done after everyone went home, or having less done, or having some things done just in a very short time,
yeah,
like hiding somewhere to do stuff. So for me, working from home is the best, and I would not imagine. Also, working from home, it means that we have less of this office bullshit. So
mm,
we don't have, of course, we lack this social things that are great, but we
mhm,
also lack the office drama,
yeah. So
and
you
this
need,
is this is
yeah,
good.
you need to manage the social factor that is simply missing. You can't say it doesn't exist, even if it does not exist for you or for me, obviously, because I'm not a fan of this social office life. You need to respect that for the majority of people, this is something. Even if you are very strict in assessments, in recruitment process, and you want to acquire only those people who feel good in remote work, they still have their social needs. And I believe you need respect this. And one thing about the office, I like what you mentioned. So being in an office force you to constantly search for situation when you are left alone, when you can focus. And in the end, people over, this is my experience, stayed over hours because only then there was peace and quiet, and they were so much against taking the job to their homes or not allowed by bosses to leave early, that they were thinking, okay, I'm going to sit now from 6 to 8 p.m. because there is silence, I feel good. What is very bad. In general, in office, you are part of a bigger organism, and this organism has its tempo, has its rhythm, and you need to adapt. Meanwhile, in remote work, this is you who are giving the tempo. Obviously, you have some meetings you need to synchronize, but there is a huge difference between who is the one who's telling how the orchestra plays. And by the way, we understand that this is a challenge for people to work fully remotely. And I would never say it's easy. I find very interesting to share with people how you can organize differently in working remotely. So recently, I've did such a small, let's say, presentation on how I do work remotely from like 5 years. And this will be shared on our YouTube channel. And more of our employees, which are pretty experienced in working remotely, I would say they are hardcore remoters, will be sharing their knowledge, because only if we accept that this is difficult and we need to adapt and find our own way, then we will really benefit from the entire concept.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with remote work that we've been pretty good at working on, but I think this is our biggest blind spot, is that for sure when you work in an office, it's easier for a junior person to just get in, talk, give
Yeah.
feedback to the junior person. And in our case, especially since we are focused on individual responsibility, individual tasks, etc., we on one hand want a junior person and we believe in growing people and helping them grow. On the other hand, from the day one, we in some way expect them to be fully capable and do stuff, and this is hard, and I think we haven't yet solved it perfectly. What do you think about this?
I think this is one of the things you can't really manage fully. So understanding that some of the things work far worse in the remote work is important. So the onboarding process, obviously, the human factor is so much interesting. The ability to look how people work, to understand I would say the soul of the organization, how people treated each other. So it takes a lot of time for for a newcomer to really feel like, hey, I'm here, I understand everyone. But as I mentioned, this is something we need to manage. This is why we meet every quarter for a longer offline meeting, and we have like monthly shorter meetings, 1 days in the cities where most of the people are working from. So we could list a lot of factors that are making the remote work a bad idea. At the same time, you can only enjoy working remotely if you really feel like the benefits are far outcome the cost. So I really try to focus on what I love, how good this is it for the company, the asynchronous work model, the focus on documenting everything on ClickUp, etc. And I try to manage the bad things, because I don't think that we ever create a perfect concept. Moving further, I think that the hybrid method, like 3 days here, 2 days 2 days in the office, are the worst things. It's one of the things I would never like to try, because it's killing the way you communicate. So I would say you need to go either for this or for this, and accept that none of the solutions is like a perfect solution.
Yeah, and I think for global companies, it's gonna be just remote. If you agree that hybrid work is the worst because it creates silos of information, just like office, and doesn't have the benefit of remote work fully, etc., then if you are a global company, you're having at least two offices. You are basically working hybrid, because people between offices need to work online.
Yeah.
So for me, like, my bold stance on that is to think that remote work is the only way forward, but it doesn't mean that people will not be going somewhere else to work, because this is also the other thing with junior people, that it's different to work in a beautiful setting like yours or spacious like mine, and it's different to be a junior person that's living with 5 other people in a small flat with no air conditioning or anything.
Yeah, obviously, we are very much biased. So you don't have kids, neither do I. That basically means that no one is doing the Formula race here by his toy car and screaming. So we need to respect the way people want to organize their life. And it's absolutely fine for people to say no to remote companies. And I really like this moment when people are realizing in the recruitment process what kind of a company we are, and they take a fully independent adult decision that, hey, this is not for me. I love this. This is very fair thing. Way better than a situation when someone says, I will adapt, but it's not even trying to imagine how it's gonna be for him, and later he feels like left alone without colleagues from office. He feels like he has no space to work. He feels like he can't separate his private life from a career, and obviously these are all the things one needs to measure when thinking about the change. But the one thing you mentioned, the junior positions, I think that it is very difficult for look, there is a thing. I would say that it's not difficult for the Gen Z people, like 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. We've been just running our scholarship program, and all of the folks that join us, like 8 people, were pretty good with the remote work from the beginning. I think it's a bit more difficult for the people who are like 26, 27, 28, who are not that digital savvy, who are still a little bit into the concept of the old school work, and then they maybe already had some experience in a corporate or something, and they move here, and this is difficult. This is the one of the most important things for us as a company, to help these people, young people, perform good, although the remote concept may not be the best for them in the beginning.